today we're going to make this cute little Easter basket. So today we're making this cute little Easter basket, and it's a little bunny with a little tail. Now I did it in a basket stitch, so it looks like a weaved basket, but you don't have to do this. I just thought that, it was cute if it would look like a weaved basket, but it has cute little bunny face on it. We did some twisted single crochets for the bottom of the basket so it sits properly. So today's color is going to be this Impeccable by Loops and Threads. This yellow is gorgeous, and it is butterscotch. That's the flavor of the day for our Easter basket. It calls for a 5mm. I'm still going to use my 4.5 for the ears and the muzzle and the nose. But to actually make my basket, I am going to use the 5mm that the yarn calls for. So whatever yarn you're using, use the hook it calls for. And then when we get into building our ears and our muzzles and bunny face, then we're going to go down in hook size because we're going to build it in amigurumi. Let's jump right into this. So we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets using whatever hook your yarn calls for. We're going to slip stitch. We're going to chain 1. So throughout this project, you're going to be putting an extra stitch in the chain space. When we get into our basket weave, it's going to be 1/2 double because we're going to be chaining 2. While we're in the single crochets, you're going to put a single crochet into that chain 2 space, and it will count as a stitch. So your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So in this chain 1 space, you need to put your second stitch and the third stitch. So 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. So your first stitch should have 3 in it. So I'm all the way back around, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of this chain, and you should have a total of 12 stitches. Chain 1. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. Put a single crochet in that chain 1 space, and that counts as your first stitch. That's 1 single crochet, so your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. 1 single crochet and an increase will bring you up to 18 stitches. So you can slip stitch to the top of that first chain, chain 1. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So starting in your chain 1 space, that's number 1. The next stitch is number 2, and then the next stitch is the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. This will bring it up to 24 stitches. And again, slip stitch, chain 1. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 30 stitches. So your first single crochet goes into that chain 1 space. That's 3 single crochets, and then this stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. So this is what you should have. If your work is rolling up right now, this should be flat. If your work is rolling up, your stitches are too tight, or your hook is not the right size for the yarn that you're using. So slip stitch, chain 1. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 36 stitches. Your first stitch goes into this chain 1 space. That's 4 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Don't slip stitch to the top and chain 1. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and again the first stitch goes in this chain 1 space. And slip stitch to the top, chain 1. So as you can see, we don't have a seam, and that's because we're putting our first stitch into this chain 1 space. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. First stitch goes into that chain 1 space. slip stitch to the top of that chain and chain 1. Our next round is going to be 7 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 54 stitches. Your first stitch goes into that chain 1 space. So slip stitch, chain 1. Your next increased row is going to be 8 single crochets and an increase. Your first stitch goes into that chain 1 space. Slip stitch, chain 1. My chain 1 was a little loose. Your next round is going to be 9 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 66 stitches. So put your first stitch into that chain 1 space. So we're on our very last increase round. So this one's going to be 10 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 72 stitches. So your first stitch, as usual, is in that chain 1 space. So I'm all the way back around, and this time I'm going to slip stitch and chain 2. So this is what you should have. It should be fairly flat. I mean, it curled up just a titch. But if yours is really cupping, and you're using the hook that's associated with what your yarn calls for, and it's still cupping, that's because you're a tight crocheter. So I would just go up in hook size again to kind of balance that problem out. But this is what you should have, a nice flat piece. So I'm just going to tuck this guy away, sew him in, because, you know, at the end of the day, you don't want this thing hanging around. So for our next round, we're still doing, sorry, I don't want to chain 2 here. I want to chain 2 after the next round. So only chain 1 here. I lied. I don't know how to read, apparently. So I found this picture on Pinterest of the Easter basket, but it wasn't a basket weave. It was just a regular stitch. But I saw the picture and I thought, oh my god, how super cute, I want to do one. But I do my own designs. Like, I see a picture. I use the picture to make what I want, but I make it with my own design. So I stuck in this basket weave as part of the design. But if you don't want the basket weave, you can just do everything in half double crochets. There's no increasing or decreasing. So you can just do everything in half doubles if you want, once we get to the basket weave part. If you don't want this type of a look here, I'll show you where there's not a face. So that's the look we get with the stitch that I'm going to do. Now this is super duper easy. Don't let it intimidate you, but if you don't want it, then just do half double crochets. It doesn't really matter. I just thought I would stick it in there just because it's cute. But the picture that I initially saw didn't have a basket weave. I just thought it was cute. So I thought I would design it. So I designed it. I used my iPad to put everything in my iPad. And sometimes when I'm reading it, doing videos, I'm on the wrong line. So, just chain one here. Our next round is going to be done in the back loops only because I need the front loops to put this on the bottom of the basket. So, and I kind of want to bring it from flat to sides. So we're going to do everything in the back loops, which are right here. So they're already quite visible. We're just doing one single crochet in each stitch around. So when you come back after this round, that's when you're going to slip stitch and chain two, because we're going to go into the half double. Now I don't try to get my hook in there, because I know a lot of people probably struggle like I used to. I use this finger and I push it on. I just do it so fast nobody can see me doing it, but I use that finger and I just kind of push that back loop on. So it goes fairly quick. So one single crochet in each of these back loops all the way around. So I'm all the way back around, and this is where I'm going to slip stitch and chain two. And I'm pretty certain about that this time. So you've got all these front loops that we're going to leave just sitting here for now, but we're going to get into those later on, and we're going to do a twisted single crochet on the bottom. So your basket will sit up nice and stuff like that. So we've chained two, because this next round is going to be one half double crochet in each stitch, and then we're going to start the pattern stitch to make the basket weave. So one half double is going to go into the chain two space. It's not really going to count as a stitch when we start the basket weave, so it's just going to be the purpose of not leaving a seam, because as you can see, even though we know where our stop and start point is, there's no seam because we do that. So one half double for this round, one half double in each stitch, starting with your chain two space, and then after that it won't even matter as a stitch, but we're still going to do it. Actually, I don't even know, I don't think it's really that huge important either, because we're going to start on posts after we come back. So one half double crochet in each stitch all the way around. So you should have 72 stitches. So I'm all the way back around. I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain. I'm going to chain two. So you can continue, like I said, with your half doubles, or you can do the basket weave, which is super duper easy. So we're going to be working on these posts, not into the stitches. we're going to be working on these posts. And we're going to be doing front posts and back posts, alternating over 4 posts. So the first 4 posts right here, we're going to do front posts, double crochets. And then the next 4 posts, we're going to do back posts, double crochet. And then we're going to alternate all the way around. So if you're intimidated by this, don't be. I mean, the more you do it, the more you're going to love it. So put your half double in that chain 2 space, just because it cuts down on the seam. But we're starting with these first 4. So go down and pick up your first post. We're doing 4 front post double crochets. So pull through, yarn over, and complete the double crochet. So pick up the post, double crochet, yarn over, pick up the post, double crochet. So the front posts are easy. It's the back posts that nobody seems to like. So these next 4 posts, we're going to do back post double crochets. And that just simply means we're coming in through the back. So yarn over, come in through the back, and put this post on your hook at the back. Then you're going to yarn over. Now you do have to kind of pinch it and hold it, and you know, it can be weird. Finish the stitch. Yarn over, come through the back, put that post on your hook. I just pinch it right here just to hold that. Pull through, finish the stitch as a double crochet. One more. Oops. So that's 4 back posts. And then we start again. 4 front posts. And then we do back posts again. So I'm all the way back around. You're only going to get 3 back posts done, but this will make it look like there's 4 there, so it'll still look even. So slip stitch, if I can get in there, to the top of that chain, and chain 2. So you're going to repeat the same thing. So with that, it looks like there's 4 there, but there's not. There's only 3. Anyway, we're going to repeat that again. So on your front posts, you're going to put front posts. On your back posts, you're going to put back posts. So you're going to be able to identify it, because this bar that runs across here, you'll know that's your back post with this bar. So just repeat the same thing, putting them on top of each other. And then when we come back, then we'll switch, and that's how we get the basket weave. So make sure you put a half double crochet in here. And again, it's not super duper important, but it does kind of help out when you only have 3 over here. So it'll make it look like 4 for your eye. Anyway, so these are my first 4 front posts that I did in the row before, and I'm just going to yarn over and do 4 front post double crochets on top of those. So this is what you should have. This is what it should look like. So I've already slip stitched and chain 2. So for each go around, for each basket weave part, we're going to do 2 rows. So we just did our 2 rows, stacking the front post ones onto the front post ones and the back posts onto the back posts. So this round is going to be the opposite of what we've done. So we did 4 front posts. We're going to do 4 back posts to start, and then front post, back post, front post. So it's going to be the opposite, and we're going to do 2 rows of the same thing. So again, half double into this chain 2 space. So our 4 front posts are now going to be 4 back posts. So you should have this bar across now. And then these 4 back posts are now going to be front posts. So you just kind of got to pop them up. So you're going to do this all the way around. You're going to be doing the opposite of what you did in the last 2 rows. So when you come back around, you're going to have 3 front posts before you slip stitch and chain. And then you're going to go around a second time doing what we did before. You're going to stack what we just did. So when you go around again, it's going to be starting with 4 back posts, and so on and so forth. So I will meet you back here after your next 2 rows is done. So I don't think there's much more I can really explain on how to do this. So my 2 rows is done. I'm going to slip stitch, chain 2, put a half double crochet in there. So that's what it should look like. So now it's starting to look like a basket weave. So we're going to do this couple more times. So your next 2 rows will be the opposite of what we just did. So we're going, so down here we start with front post, back post, front post. Up here we did back post, front post. So now again we're going to do front post. We're going to do the opposite for 2 rows. So I'm back around with my last 2 rows done, so this is what I have. So I'm only going to do this one more time, and then my basket's going to be finished as far as height, but like I said, if whatever you want. So of course my next 2 rows now are going to be the back, starting with back post, because I've got front post exposed, so I'm going to do back post, front post, back post, front post for the next 2 rows. So if that is not as big, like if you want yours to be bigger than what I'm doing, then just keep going. Now that you know what we're doing, you can just keep going. So, but I think 2 more rows for me, and then I'll meet you back here. When you're done your final row, I just want you to chain 1, not 2. So I will meet you back here when we are complete. So I am back. I've got my 2 rows done, so this is going to be my basket. Just like that. Well, we'll put the bottom on, it'll look better, but so we got to do the top rim. But that's your basket weave basket. So the top rim we do to make it look like this. Kind of just, you know, brings the basket in a bit, so it does look kind of round like that. And it just looks a lot better than leaving it all squiggly wiggly. So I'm going to chain. I'm going to slip stitch and chain 1. Don't worry about the 1 single crochet in that same stitch. Every single post you see is going to get a front post single crochet. So ignore that one. We're going to pop across and grab the first. So this is my set of 4 back posts. So I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to put a single crochet on it. And grab the next post, single crochet. And that's all we're going to do. Single crochet. So my 4 front posts from the row below. Single crochet. Single crochet. So when we do that, it puts this nice thick border along the top. So that's what we're going to continue to do all the way around. So I am all the way back around. So I'm going to go into this stitch and slip stitch and fasten off. Just need a weaving tail and maybe a little bit of a sewing tail to kind of make this look not so bad. So you can see a little bit of a jog from where you started and stopped. So I'm just going to scooch through to the other side. I'm going to grab a back loop and a back loop, and I'm just going to pop across. I'm just trying to make this look a little bit more even. Go back down through the front. Do the same thing with those 2 front loops, just to make it look a little bit better. And then you can pop down through here and do your weaving. So that's our basket. So I'm going to change hooks here. I know I said I wasn't changing hooks until the bunny face, but I lied. So, yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but I am going to. You can still use your 5. I'm just going to change to my 4.5, just because it is a little bit of a smaller hook, and I don't want this bottom to be too overly big. So I'm going to make a slip knot, put that on my hook. So you should be right here where you fastened off, should be where your jog is here for your front loops. So just go into one of those front loops and reattach using whatever you want. Single crochet, slip stitch, doesn't matter, because we're putting another stitch in there anyway. So in that same front loop, put in another stitch and kind of pull up on the stitch. This first one's going to be tight, and I want you to spin it, yarn over, and pull through. This is what's called a twisted single crochet. So you're going to go into your next front loop. Make sure this is your loose loop, the one on your hook. So go into your next front loop, pull up a loop, and pull up, twist it, yarn over, and finish the stitch. You're going to do this in every single front loop. So if you don't pull up on this, they're going to be super duper tight and you're going to struggle. So make sure this one's always loose. So ultimately, what this bottom is going to do is keep it sitting up straight. So no matter how many eggs or how many candies or whatever your little fella does during either an egg hunt, or this is just a gift basket or whatever you're using it for, this will help your basket sit properly, as well as being super duper cute, of course. So I'm just coming around to the end. So I'm just going to go back into that same loop I started in to do my slip stitch and fasten off. I tie these two together just to pull that together in a tight double knot. So that's the bottom of mine. So no matter what's in it, this will always sit like it's supposed to sit. So my handle, when I made my handle, I wanted it to be nice and tight and stiff. So for this guy, I went down, I used my 4.5, but as you can see, it's still kind of floppy. So I think I'm going to go down to a 3.75, or even a 4. Maybe I'll just do a 4. I'm going to go down to my 4mm. See if I can't make this nice and thick so it stands up a lot better. And I'm going to yarn under instead of over, which always makes a big difference. It's a boxier stitch, and I just think it makes a huge difference. So for the handle, I chained 61. My handle turned out to be 14 inches long. So if you want a a longer handle, then don't go down. Don't drop down to a 4. Just stick with your 5 or stick with your 4.5. So that is my chain 61. And I'm going to do 60 single crochets back up, but I'm going to yarn under and not over. So when I go in, instead of grabbing it like this, I'm going to grab it like this and pull through. When I do that personally, it is a way tighter stitch for me. It certainly is a boxier stitch for everybody, but for me, it helps me keep my stitches nice and tight. And I need this handle to be stiff, so I'm yarning under. So I'm all the way back down. It's pretty tight because it was curling. But PDF users, there is no hook change on your PDF for the handle, by the way. You can choose whatever you make your handle with. I did not put a hook change on the PDF. And for anybody that doesn't know what I'm talking about right now, I offer PDFs for all my videos. You just have to become a member of my channel by hitting that join button. And you can have access to all my PDFs for every video that I'm doing. So I just want you to chain 1 and turn here. For the next 3 rows, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these stitches. And again, I am going to yarn under for every stitch, trying to keep it nice and tight. So I am done my second row. I'm just going to fasten off. You need a sewing tail because we're going to fold this in half and we're going to whip stitch all the way back down. If you want to stick a pipe cleaner or something in here, then I'm sure that'll be fine. It might be actually kind of neat to do that. I'm not sure it would make a huge difference, but so maybe just at the top of the handle. Let's see what happens when we do that. I've never done that before. It was just an idea. So I'm all the way to the end. I'm going to tie my straggler together with my sewing piece. So it didn't really make a big difference putting that pipe cleaner in there. I mean, it sort of did, but it didn't. But this actually stands up better than my other sorry, excuse me. This actually stands up better than my other one, so it still flops, but so that's our little basket. So if you wanted to stop there, then thanks for joining me. Some people would just want the basket, I suppose. So next we're going to start doing the bunny stuff. So get your colors if you're doing a different color. I'm just going to do yellow. And I'll meet you right back here. So I am using my 4.5 for the bunny face. So we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. This is built in amigurumi, so you will need a stitch marker. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, so because it's amigurumi, there's no slip stitching, there's no chaining. You just go directly into your next stitch and start working. After your first stitch, that's where the marker goes, then stitch number 2 can go into that same space, and 2 single crochets in each space around will give you 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase, and this will bring you up to 18 stitches. That's 1 single crochet with your marker, and then the next stitch gets the increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. So you should have 18 stitches for the next 2 rows. I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. So that's my 2 rows. So this is what you should have. And you have to make another one. So I'm going to put the pattern on the screen, and I will meet you right back here with our second piece. So I got to my 2 pieces, so you gotta make sure the basket is folded exactly in half. So these get stuffed. They get sewn on down here just so we have some room for the eyes. So this is my stuffed, probably not the same, but that's my muzzle. So now we have to do the little tiny pink nose that kind of, and I sewed these together. You probably saw in my time lapse. So now we just got to do the little pink nose. So I've decided to change hooks again, and I am using this 3.75 millimeter F5 for this next part, and pink. So whatever color nose you want, if you want a brown nose, then get your brown. I'm going to use pink again. That's what I used on my last one. So I started with a chain 5. I made 2 of these and sewed them together because I made 15 noses, and I didn't like either one of them made amigurumi. So I decided to just make them flat and then sew the 2 pieces together. So chain 5. This is a 4-weight yarn, so this nose is nice and tight. This is just a regular 4-weight. I think it's just a red heart. It's pink. I don't know. It's kind of scrap yarn. 4 single crochets back up. Chain 1. Turn your work. And you're going to do 4 single crochets again. Fat fingers don't like the small pieces. Chain 1, turn your work. So you should have 4 stitches, obviously, and we're going to decrease the first 2 and the last 2. So decrease those, and then we're going to decrease these. So you'll see it written as SC2 tog 2 times. Chain 1, turn your work, and then 2 stitches here just going to get an SC2 tog, which is a decrease, and you can fasten off. And then you're going to make your second one. There we go. So the first thing we do is tuck away these guys. Then these obviously get matched up. The point at the top. So one of these is going to be for sewing. So one of these is going to be for sewing around the triangle, and the other one is probably just going to be used for sewing to the bunny. Or whatever you want to do. Either way, these 2 triangles get sewn together. So the triangle goes down. Or whatever you want. So it kind of sits up near the top. Oh, my fingers are in the way. Does that help? Anyway. I know my fingers are in the way. So it kind of sits on the top and you kind of got to curve it over. So the last stitch I do, I go right into the top and I pull it so it curves under. Does that make sense? I gotta pop this out. My muzzle. I don't think I put enough stuffing in this because they keep collapsing a little bit. So that's your cute little nose. It actually looks better on this one than it does the purple one. So, of course, I did googly eyes. You can do whatever eyes you want. I do have these ones. I think they're too small, though. But you can do whatever eyes you want. I mean, if you want to crochet eyes on. I just thought the googly eyes would be fun for the kids. But, oh, those aren't horrible. Oh my gosh, those are so cute. Those are adorable. I'm going to just... So these are... So, I'm just going to glue these little guys on. I love these eyes. And when you glue them, oh my god, do they ever stick well. So I'm going to glue those on. So I need to put something... Oh my gosh, those are so cute. I absolutely love them. And yeah, they're two different colors too. I love the fact that they're two different colors. They're so cute. Didn't even do matching. Oh, they're so adorable. Look how cute he is. So these ears, they start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. I'm using my 4.5. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So this is also done in amigurumi. So after your first stitch, that's where the marker goes. And then stitch number 2 can go into that same space. And each space around gets 2 for a total of 12 stitches when you're done. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's your 1 single crochet with your marker. And then the next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring it up to 30 stitches. So I should have 30 stitches. For the next 7 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 30 stitches. So that's my 7 rows. So we're going to start decreasing now. We're going to do a 3 single crochet decrease. That's 3 single crochets, and then my decrease is going to be invisible, so front loops only. But you can do any sort of decrease that you want. Next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. For the next 3 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this doesn't get stuffed, by the way. We're not stuffing this at all. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease. And your last round, of course, is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches, and then we can fasten off. This is my 12th stitch, so I'm going to fasten off in the next stitch, slip stitch, and fasten off with a little bit of a sewing tail. It doesn't take much to sew it on. So that's your little ear. So go ahead and make your second ear, and I will meet you right back here. So I am back. I've got both my ears done, and I've just whip stitched the top of them closed. And I'm going to use this for a tail, but for the back of my other one, I just made a pom-pom with the yarn that I used. But this one, I'm going to do something a little bit more special because it is for my Trin. She's going to be here at my house for Easter, so we're going to be doing an egg hunt and everything else. So anyway, get your little Easter basket. And you can decide where you want your ears. I love the two different colored eyes I've got going on. Anyway, you can decide where you want to sew on your ears. This thing, if you have a pom-pom you want to use too, this thing has a little thing like that. So I'm just going to take a piece of yarn. I think it's super fun. Super fun. I think my Trin will like it. So I've got to do the bow. This is such an Eastery looking yarn. That's what I'm going to use for the bow. And oh, this is such a stiff label. So it's by Loops and Threads. It's the Flex yarn. And this is called Spring Green. So that's what I'm going to use for the bow because it's perfect. And I've got this greenish color in my, well, all the different colors in my tail, my bunny tail. That calls for a 5mm. So I'm going to use my 4 just so it's nice and tight. So we're going to start with, isn't this pretty? Look at the flecks in it. A little, I love it. It's so springy. We're going to start with a chain 6 and 5 single crochets. That is my chain 6. So I'm going to do 5 single crochets back up. Chain 1, turn your work. For the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 5 stitches. So we're going to start to decrease. Well, not start to decrease, we're going to decrease. There's not much to decrease, but these first 2 stitches, you're going to see this written as SC2 tog. So we're going to decrease these first 2 stitches. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet, so the guy in the middle, and then we're going to single crochet the last 2 together. So decrease the last 2. This leaves you 3 stitches. Sometimes this can be difficult to work with. Chain 1, turn your work. For the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 3 stitches. So now we're going to increase. This first stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. Then you're going to do 1 single crochet. And then this last stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. Chain 1, turn your work. For the next 8 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 5 stitches. So now we start decreasing again. We're going to decrease the first two. We're going to do one single crochet, so the guy in the middle, and decrease the last two. Chain one, turn your work. For the next 2 rows, you're going to put one single crochet in each of these 3 stitches. So now we're going to increase. So this first stitch gets 2 single crochets. Then you're going to do 1 single crochet. And then the last stitch is going to get 2 single crochets. So chain 1, turn your work. For the next 4 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 5 stitches. You can fasten off. You're going to need a sewing tail. So this gets this big part where we did 8 rows. You can fold that in half. It should match up these 2 sides. So that's your bow, but we're not going to sew it all together. We're just going to sew these 2 ends. So this guy can get tucked away. So I'm not sewing this together, I'm just weaving a little bit. Now if you don't want to crochet the middle, you can just do this around the center. If you have enough sewing cord, you can just do that. Me, I'm going to crochet the middle part. So we're going to chain 3 and do 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work, and I'm going to do 2 single crochets for 6 rows. Or however, I don't know how you crochet, tight or loose, but however long it takes to make a thing long enough to go around the inside of your bow. And it has to be tight. So that's my 6 rows. Now it has to be tight. It has to pull it like that. So fasten off. So easy peasy. And then this gets wrapped. So do you see how it doesn't come close to even matching, like near each other? That's how you know it's going to be nice and tight. Because it has to squeeze your bow together. Just like that. So save some of this tail to sew with. So that's your little bow. And then I just put it on one of the ears. But you can put it anywhere you want. And then my little bow on my ear. There we go. All done. I get my little fluffy tail in there. There. Looks angry when I do that. So, thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.